everyone. So, pretty much today on Crash Week, we're going to be doing 2 videos because I didn't have enough time to do one yesterday because of Crash 4. And yet, today, just a little after this one was posted, I'm going to be doing a one for Crash 4 that's meant for today. For this one, I'm doing the one that was meant for yesterday because, like I said, I don't have enough time. Oh, look, you. Okay, so let's look up at the screen. Now, I'm going to be having this on, my computer on the table so that Constance, like last time, doesn't end the recording early. Alright. Let's see again. Caddy can run. Okay, it's a little quiet. Oh god, it's blurry. But you can see a little bit more. Huh.
I'm fine with the way things are. Yeah, didn't you hear? The bricks and I are getting married. I love you.
How do you... That is a wall. How do you fall in love with a wall?
It's full of surprises, isn't it? I mean, we come together to celebrate Crash, it's my birthday,
Cracks.
and now I'm getting married to a wall. How much better could everything possibly get?
Oh yeah, it was 2020. Still, I've actually been playing Crash 4.
Nah, you don't want any of that.
Huh? Who are you?
I'm Jason Station.
That is very funny.
Why would
Sarcasm.
you play Crash Bandicoot 4 when you've got so many of the best Crash games right here?
Well, yeah, I suppose I do have all of these ones.
I'm not talking about them.
Say what? Well, that was just lovely. Oh, bugger.
Oh,
me.
God.
It's Cash Banuka. That was alright, wasn't it? Oh, look, it's Cash Banuka 2. That was great, wasn't it? Oh, look, it's Cash Banuka Wrapped. Oh, look, it's Cash Teat Rabies. Oh, look, it's Cash Twittinity. These were fantastic, weren't they? Oh, look, it's Cash Banuka, the Wrinkle of Cow Pack. Oh, okay, that wasn't a very good one.
Oh,
the law
he's going by so fast.
What I just came up with dictates that if you want a few games in a franchise to be respected as truly brilliant and given the eternal status of classic, you need to be able to compare it to its own failings, so that you're able to see how badly its own gameplay style that the franchise is famous for can be attempted.
Wonder what this game is.
People liked Crash Bandicoot 1 a lot when it came out. I mean, check out this kids magazine I have talking about the best games ever made. They say that Crash 1 was one of them, so it must be true. I mean, look at what they say about Samus in Metroid.
God.
We know that playing as a girl is a bit, well, girly.
Ew, cutie.
Real talk, though.
Okay, this is just for... What is the word? This is for educational purposes, but girls don't have the... No. I don't know if it's like the... C's right here? I don't know what the heck it is, but what we learned from all my friends... Goodies. Only boys have it. Yep. I'm sorry that I made you think about that.
Halo isn't a difficult game at all. You want to know what's really tough? SpongeBob. Why do I have this magazine? But no matter how much people loved Crash 1, when
neither do I know.
They refined and improved basically everything, it was clear where the original should have been from the very beginning, and it looks kind of bad now. But that's just hindsight. When Crash 2 came out in '97, you could only say that with the new knowledge you gained as a hardcore Dorito gammon, while gaming technology improved around you. Because at the time, nobody knew any better. This type of game was a new thing in 1996. So people didn't 100% know how good this new gaming formula could possibly get until they experienced it for themselves. I mean, Jesus, people played Pong in 1972 and they thought that video games
just keep them right there.
We're not getting any better than this. Pack up and go home. Wait, it's in color now! And so it goes on. A sequel comes out, it improves itself. Another sequel comes out, it improves itself.
Yeah.
And just when there's a few people that start complaining about that gameplay style getting a bit too repetitive and too old or stale, another sequel comes out which tries to fix all of those problems. Which then makes
It's
those players
horrible.
realise how good they had it in the first place. That's how I think gaming classics are born. You don't just finish making a game and then declare it classic immediately. Only
Not
time
possible.
will tell. And nowadays,
Yep,
we
only
all
time
know
will
the
tell.
original Crash
Like he
trilogy is
says.
classic because they remade them
perfect
and they
thing.
still hold up brilliantly today. The same can even be said about Crash's first attempt of a kart racer. Fantastic then, and fantastic as a remake even now. We also know these games are classics because its own series they came from really started pushing their luck when everyone started bitching about it. I've never heard that before. Did someone
Oh,
call me?
wait,
Yes,
Sonic
every
has one?
franchise, whether it's about a purple dragon or a blue guinea pig.
Oh yeah,
suffers from this habit of
Spyro
sinking
was the
really
thing.
damn low when
First
trying
Spyro
to
game
find
came out
sponsors
like
made their own games to
when
break
Crash
the
3 was already a
Even
thing.
the porky
Yeah,
Italian
all
Pillsbury
the
Doughboy
trilogy was already done.
Even though it makes us respect and appreciate
But
their good games
then-
even more, they still exist. And when it comes to Crash,
Yeah, please
bless
watch
his
this on
little
my
baby baton.
thing, Crash
What's
Week.
Naughty Dog had nothing to do with him after 4 games in? Nobody
Spyro?
had a clue how to use it. Party games, open world
Yeah, his
games,
first game
racing
came out after
games,
the
multiple side
original
scrollers,
trilogy
ideas that were
with,
picked up and dropped faster
yeah.
than my son, all in a desperate attempt to keep Crash relevant while completely ignoring what made him so popular and gave him a fan base to begin with. Did you ever wonder why the recently announced Crash 4 is carrying on from Crash 3 officially, despite Wrath of Cortex and Twin Sanity being labelled as Crash 4 and Crash 5 in Japan? All of these games are why, and we're going to play them. Now, I've been
Alright.
taking a look at a few questionable games from Crash many years ago on
Alright.
this channel. Wrath of
That's a-
Cortex was one of them, and I'm not going to bother
Alright.
looking at it in this video because I already went through it top to bottom in depth not that long ago. But suffice it to say, aside from the great controls, the enemies are pathetic and can barely touch you, the bosses from Crash 3 do nothing
yeah.
but poke you, Cortex's
Mentioned
eyebrows
that
have a
in
mind of their
another
own, the
video.
levels are way too big, Coco gets stuck floating in boxes, Monkey Bar swinging is slower than corpse decomposition, your eyes escape your head and float in mid-air,
Okay.
Crash looks like an inflatable sex doll, which makes me want to be sick in my mouth. There's also this
Not
one
for
level here
kids.
where you can beat it to get the crystal by just letting go of the controller. Yes, I'm not joking about that. This is supposed to be a minecart race where you pick different routes to take to try and get in front of Crunch, and you don't need to press a single button and you will win. This
Just
game
eat
is
a snack.
masterpiece. I also did do a video on Crash Bash, but that was back in 2012. 2012.
That was before I was born.
YouTube was taken over by Susan Wetwinky, and because that video is terrible, I figured I'd drop myself into
Okay,
this
it's
video
definitely
nice and
improved.
gently and revisit Crash Bash to
That
see
much.
if it really was the beginning of Crash's downfall after Naughty Dog dropped in to start making games about angry, hairy men. So I guess it's time to conclude this year's Bandicoot Month by acknowledging all of Crash's failures and getting them out of the way forever so that I never have to mention them again. These games I'll be talking about today have been heavily requested on my channel for years now, so sorry for the wait. I hope this is what you wanted. Oh wow, check it out. It's Crash and Basham. I reviewed this game when I was a clean-shaven child. The graphics as well are actually
Child?
quite pleasant. The characters look good,
Okay.
and I don't know what I was talking about. This was the first Crash game to be picked up by another random developer after Naughty Dog lost the rights of the character to Universal. And that does spell bad news at the offset, but at least the new devs, Eurocom, didn't try to poorly replicate the original formula. They instead tried to do a Mario Party, but with a gorilla with an anus for a face. Doesn't mean the game
Okay.
is great though,
It
just
was
by
just-
doing its own thing, because
I know
spoiler
Van
warning,
64
I don't think it's
does
that
have a
great.
thing
Can
by
we
this
judge the
point.
game by the first world of adventure?
I think.
Ignore him. Now, even
So-
though Crashly Bashly is a party game, if you're all by yourself, you can indeed play a single-player adventure mode.
Mario Party 1 should have been out by then. I've played it before on Switch. Yes, you can play old, Nintendo games on Switch, of course.
Hiking. So the intro cutscene clues us in on what's going on.
Uka
in the most
Uka?
basic of terms,
That's
Aku
it.
Aku and Uka
Then there's
Uka are
Aku
having an
Aku,
argument, which almost leads to the worst boxing match of all time because
They
none
just
of them have
reversed the
any
name
arms.
for.
No, Uka Uka. The ancients would not allow it.
Ah, do you know what? Aku Aku
The
is
ancients
right.
haven't
We've never
been
done that
mentioned
before
until
at
this
all.
point.
No, we don't fight because the ancients won't let them do it. No, not even once. Don't want to piss off those
Crash-
ancients. Oh, by
Crash-
the way, who are the ancients?
That's
You know
Crash
what's even
3.
weirder about this though? The first
Before
line
this
spoken in this
evil
cutscene is,
How
thing.
many times must you be told? You cannot defeat me.
So why does Uka Uka even try to fight Aku Aku after all of that? Why give him the ancient's excuse? You both can't hurt each other. Aku Aku said so. Do you have memory loss, Uka Uka? Can Wood get Alzheimer's? Anyway, after this, Aku
Alright.
Aku's had enough and is about to bring the thunder.
This bickering can go on no longer.
Or he's going to sound like a fed-up mother. And logically, just
Alright.
like when you catch your own kids bickering, there's only one way to settle it. Illegal cage fighting.
Wait, what?
Yes, instead of settling this tiny squabble between themselves, these omnipotent and all-powerful masks decide to steal their supposed friends and pit them against each other until only one is left alive. And Crash is A-OK with it. What is he doing? And so, by winning a random random set of
What, do you think
battle
he's a
party
bear?
games and boss levels at the end of each warp room, your chosen character must beat out the competition for the glory of their own mask that forced them
Okay,
into this
nice
horror, and this
reference.
somehow proves how great they are and who wins this pissy little argument. Even stranger, though, is that since I picked
Not for
Cortex,
kids.
I'm fighting for the
Me.
evil side, and yet the boss levels are all the same if you picked the hero side. Even Uka Uka says in the boss cutscenes,
You must first meet an old friend.
so if they're old friends, why are we fighting the bosses? If the bosses are evil and friends with Uka Uka, including the final boss, doesn't that mean that the evil side already wins this argument by default? What's going on? Why are we fighting them? Oh, don't worry, he's flat now. This story is a total disaster, no other words. It's as much of a mess as Tiny Tiger's character model. Cortex's hair, though, is on point. Look at it. It's so on point that it is a point. His hair is so sharp he can open an envelope with it. So Crash to
Are you
Back
sure?
like I mentioned
That is
earlier,
hair.
is Mario Party for the
You can't
entirety of the
open
gameplay,
anything with
but
that
without
hair.
the game board or dice to
Mine
roll,
paper.
and it's worse. You just win mini games over and over again to progress. And where some of these games on their own are totally passable and fun in their own right, where Crash Bash fails is with the tedium of it all. This is one of the most repetitive games I've ever played. In fact, it's so repetitive that in the first warp room, you get 4-way pong, polar bear fighting, pogo stick bouncing, and
3D brawling.
And then in the second warp room, you get 4-way pong, polar bear fighting, pogo stick bouncing, and 3D brawling.
The same thing, but
Sure,
it's
there's
all
an
different.
additional game mechanic added in for the copies, but they're still copies. They feel
Yeah.
exactly the same to play. And many of these mini games are copied up to 3 times throughout the adventure mode in different warp rooms, with nothing but a different coat of paint. And that's not all. Get this. In order to unlock the boss battles from each warp room, you need a certain amount of trophies. And no, your wife doesn't count. To get the trophy
Okay.
on one of these levels, you need to win the mini game in question not once, not twice, but 3 times. And this isn't a best out of 3 system or anything like that. The game keeps on going until anybody in the match wins 3 times. Meaning that you could potentially replay the level 9 times in a row in order to
Oh,
win
God.
just 1 trophy.
That's the most you can play
Win on
as
the
well,
9th
because
attempt.
if you don't,
You
you
get the 4 trophies
you have to
from
do
Warp
it.
Room 1,
You have to
unlock
do
boss
everything
1,
again.
And then think to yourself,
Oh, I
oh
know.
damn, I can't wait to see something new. And then, oh dear, Warp Room 2 has
I can
exactly the
tell.
same minigame style as you just did, aside from 1 extra level you haven't seen before. And you still need to win them all 3
just
times each.
letting it
And
go
then
on
all of a
talking,
sudden,
just,
Boss 2 won't let
we
you
get
win
to the
because
very
you
quick.
need trophies,
Very
gems,
quick,
and
you know?
crystals to get inside. But where do you get the gems and crystals from, you...
I just glitched YouTube. There's an ad. Okay, there we go. Hold on, I need to go to the bathroom. I'll let him. Yeah.
Try by going back
Yeah,
to all the levels
give
you've
enough
already replayed a
keys.
million times over and replaying them again. But this time with an overly frustrating crutch, like randomly growing insta-kill mushrooms taking over the stage, or you beginning the stage with less health than everybody else. Yes, Engine, this is a great idea. When 2 giant missile-equipped mech suits can't take down a tiny bandicoot, just spin around and spit balls out of your mouth, I'll get 'em. So yeah, the single-player adventure mode, aside from the decent bosses, pretty horrendous. And unfortunately, unless you own a first edition black labeled European version of Crash Bash, like I do, there's no code you can put in anywhere to unlock all of the multiplayer games straight away if you want to just jump into a match with a few friends. You have to go through the adventure mode and unlock everything in that tedious goddamn way. Otherwise, you're stuck with 4 mini-games total with 4 different skins. And that is it. Unless you have a copy of Spyro 3. Yes, stay with me. By holding L1 and R2 on the title screen for Spyro 3 and pressing square, you get access to a hidden Crash Bash demo. And then, if you type in a specific code on the title screen of the demo, you are then granted access to a cheat menu, where you can not only manipulate and change basically everything on the screen, but also have access to nearly every single level. Fully multiplayer compatible and all. You are missing a few of the final mini-games, you only have 3 bosses to pick from, boss 3 of which apparently being Homer Simpson.
I'm sorry, what?
But yes, essentially, nearly
Alright.
the entire Crash Bash game is hidden on a Spyro 3 disc. Which
Oh.
just goes to show you how little space Crash Bash's full disc was using in the first place, and therefore shows you how much effort went into it. I can't believe they left this here accidentally. It's so damn cool. Look, you can even see the exact date and time that this beta build of the game was placed on the Spyro 3 disc.
Okay.
Okay, what I
The
just said about
first
the
year
no
of the
effort thing, that is harsh. There
2000s.
is quite a bit of effort put into some of Crash Bash. The soundtrack, for instance, is one of Crash's best on the PS1. In fact, below Crash 2, I'd say it was the second best, so
I
go
mean,
check it out. And when you do have all the mini games unlocked,
basically,
it is a decent decent distraction with friends.
is
But getting to that point,
2000 is
which
the halfway
majority of
point
players of this
between
game have
the
to do is
90s
endless. And my lord,
or,
aside from the repetition and copy-paste minigames, the looks of this
1990s
game
or whatever,
really end up burying
to
me.
the
Too many freeze frames I was able to grab from this game were
2000s,
absolutely
whatever.
horrifying and a far cry from the detail you'd expect from the Crash universe, even on the PS. And come on, man, Cortex's head here looks like a boiled egg on top of a frisbee. I can see it.
An egg that's been rotten and is now like,
It's not in there.
you know,
And
yellow.
that's probably the saddest thing. I don't know. Maybe if I shout at it, it will be better. Oh! That didn't work. But don't you act? I mean, did you like Crash Team Racing? Yeah? Good. Well, have I got the steal for you? Because for the low, low price of 3, you can get Crash
Okay,
Team
yeah,
Racing
$3
on the
says
PS2
cheap.
with better graphics, and you fall through the floor all the time. Oh, yes, sign me up, Bazooka Boy. So Crash Nitro Kart was sort of a sequel/spiritual successor to Crash Team Racing for the PS2 era. And oh boy, does it feel like a game stuck in the shadow of its better big brother that the parents love more. In many ways, this is just a carbon copy of Crash Team Racing, but just not as good. It's even apparent in the adventure mode. The plot of CTR is
Aliens.
and the plot of Nitro Kart is
Aliens.
But instead of Oxide threatening to turn Earth into a giant concrete parking lot, you have this guy called Velo who just steals you to race a bunch of times to entertain other aliens on another planet. But that's basically it. And his beard is the first letter of his name. I mean, what kind of arsehole does that? Nitro Kart does actually give you a good first impression. Instead of making you pick one character only for the entire adventure like in CTR, you get to pick from either Team Bandicoot or Team Cortex, allowing you to swap between 3 different characters with their own unique driving styles and kart stats whenever you want to in between all of the races.
After,
and that's not all. You even get unique
yeah,
cutscenes
press,
for each team throughout the
if you want to try and open one of these,
then you realise that they didn't bother to fix the facial animations for the mask.
there should be something like right here, but
Future of gaming, everyone. This is the PS2.
pretty much where I left it on the ground. Oh no. Actually, I went to max. Yeah, that's something you can do. You just press it twice. There we go.
Potato cakes. They're back.
So yeah, pretty much just make her
Did you know that the average human head weighs 11 pounds? Imagine
me.
dropping an 11-pound bowling ball.
and once you've got this little thing right here, just
you even get unique cutscenes for each team
there you go.
story mode based on who you pick. But then you realise that they didn't bother to fix the facial
And you
animations.
should know that just for. Oh wait, you won't be watching.
Welcome to the future of gaming, everyone. This is the PS2.
Okay. I'll pause. Okay.
What's my name? Easy. Sloppy. Because that's what this game is. And that's a massive shame to me, because as far as pushing the Crash Kart racing games forward goes, Nitro
sorry,
Kart
what?
was a fair amount new and good. This was the game that introduced a new boost formula where the closer you lead the drift meter to the burnout, the faster boost you're rewarded with. A brilliant risk and reward system that they later brought back for Nitro Fuel. They gave us unique track designs with trap crates to break that activate different obstacles on the track to sabotage other players. There are some great new items like the tornado that picks up anybody it touches and goes around half the track. There's anti-gravity gimmicks in the levels that Mario would later copy in Mario Kart 8 11 years later. The adventure mode has this frenzy
now
system
Daniel
where a
will
meter
move.
slowly charges with your teammates throughout the race, after which you're able to use as many random items as you can before the timer runs out. The visuals can be absolutely breathtaking for a PS2 game, and hell, they even brought back the staples from CTR that made the adventure mode stand out in the first place, like the 3 token collection races, crystal grabbing arenas, and the time trial relic races. And since they already copied so much that worked from CTR, it would only make sense for them to copy the addictive, maniacal, and bouncy control style. But they don't. Nitro Kart feels like the developers witnessed the birth of a miracle child, and while the mother was still splayed, shoved it back in. Nitro Kart is an unbirthed baby that was already born. I need therapy. Even though you're
yes,
not
you
playing the
do.
game right now, you can probably see the downgrade just from the footage. Nitro Kart has absolutely no sense of speed or heaviness to the cars to make it feel like you're burning rubber against the terrain. It feels like you're floating along it. It's very flat and unreactive, which wouldn't be so bad if the jumping and drifting didn't feel limp and splatty and the turning didn't feel
Do you
like
mean
were
like when you're
unfolding
using a
eyes, but it
Kano
does, especially
in
with
Crash
the highest
4?
speed, lowest turn characters. Unless you're drifting, it barely feels like you even turn at all, and you even slow down if you hold a turn for too long, because clearly someone thought you weren't going slow enough. Even driving into the levels is a pain. Driving into the levels is difficult. Stop judging me, it's very hard. Why are you looking at me like that, Engine? Oh look, we've got a boss race heading our way. I wonder who will be fighting from the Crash universe today. Oh. Him. This
Whoever he
delightful
is.
little cherub is called Crump. Don't know who he is? Neither do I. And instead of being
Alright.
introduced in a comically personalised way, where he's talking directly to the camera and intimidating the player, he instead gets forced into racing us by Velo. And then he says, "Nah, I don't want to race them, they're smelly." And then Velo says,
Oh, come on, please, Daddy.
and then Crunk says yes.
You also need to get
yeah, that is the quality of the boss
Velo.
races we have in Nitro Kart. And as for the race itself, well, I've got to be honest, I'm not even sure it was a race. See you later, monkey beta. At this point, I'd rather have a race against that thing in Star Fox 64 called Bacon. The pathetic boss
Bacon.
races aren't all either when it comes to the difficulty of Nitro Kart. In fact, when you mix in the Team Frenzy mechanic and new boost formula that is outright broken when you get the hang of it, this ends up becoming the easiest kart racer I think I've ever played. And the boss races don't even allow you to use Frenzy, so that's how easy they are. Topping all of this off is a piddling number of tracks compared to CTR as well.
That did not feel good.
And I don't even want to know what noise you'd make if you did feel good. And even though this is supposed to be a
Me neither.
high-tech, advanced PS2 follow-up to Crash Team Racing, Nitro Kart ends up being one of the most unpolished games I've ever played. Constantly clipping through the floor is one thing, but it's another thing when the frame rate tanks whenever there's more than 3 carts on the same screen. The shields don't even work half the time, and in some races you're even able to crash. How the hell did you do that? I genuinely love the track designs and the visuals of Nitro Kart, but even if you can get past the performance problems, there's no
what?
point coming back to this whatsoever, since it controls worse than Crash Team Racing and doesn't feel as good to play, which in a kart racer I would argue is the main thing you need to get right. That's why games like Mario Kart 64 or Double Dash hold up so well after all these years. Yeah, they put some of the tracks from these games in the future installments, but you can always feel safe going back to these ones because you know you're going to be having a great time controlling the cars. Oh, and by the way, the loading screens are terrifying. Crash is dead. Oh wow, look at that! It's a bonus platform! You know what that means? Yeah, we've got an extra racing game to look at! So welcome everybody to the Cadicarus Bounds Round! Yeah, just when you thought they couldn't mess it up anymore.
Yeah, you also had a
Crash
bounds
Team
round,
Racing
like the
died
birthday
in
stuff
dignity.
video.
Here we have another Crash Kart Racer Tag Team Racing. But it's okay because Jetix Magazine says it's the best Crash game ever. And everyone knows who Jetix Magazine is. Hey everyone, it's
That's
me,
why I can see it's
your
very
favourite
blurry.
prime-time family-friendly YouTube superstar.
Go!
So immediately, I do have to give Tag Team Racing some credit. The story mode here is at least something different and not another random invasion. The plot here is that you're battling Cortex and accidentally stumble into a theme park built entirely for roller coasters and racetracks. Is that a wang? And you get roped into recovering the power sources for each of the theme park's lands that were mysteriously stolen from Von Clutch over here. But we're only helping him to do that because whoever does help him wins ownership of the entire park, which Cortex really wants to do, and we can't let him do that.
Perhaps a rebel or two!
That's my Trolley Pack mascot, Lily Bumper Cheeks.
That sounds like a character from an adult movie.
Smash Brandy's cooch.
Yeah, probably that one. So Tag Team Racing is yet another Crash Kart Racer, if you couldn't tell. It's CTR and Nitro Kart again, but with a million extra pointless mechanics, and in my opinion, it's even worse. The car controls are unbearably stiff. The track designs are the opposite of interesting. The shortcuts barely mean anything. The music is boring. The engaging and skill-based jumping...
Well, I haven't been
to
talking
boost
for a while.
has been
That-
totally
no,
removed
that's-
and replaced with an awful power slide move that doesn't even help that much and makes this noise whenever you use it. But the worst thing about it to me, at least, is the
or
main
just don't
thing that
use it at all.
separates this racer from the rest. The clashing system. In any race at any time, the character you pick can turn into a ghost and clonk their way into another car of your choosing to merge with them. And as we all know, nobody can clink the clonk as good as Crash Badinky Donk. By doing this, you briefly turn the game into Mario Kart Double Dash but for war criminals, since you can swap between driving the car or aiming a weapon that has now attached itself onto the car in order to blow up everyone else until you run out of ammo. On paper, this sounds like the coolest addition ever. It's like
We've
Crash
already
Team
seen
Racing
that
meets
map.
Twisted
You
Metal.
can tell by the
Especially since
bottom
there's plenty
left.
of characters with unique weapons, there's loads of vehicle types with different
Okay,
defense,
different
speed,
track,
and handling
apparently.
options, and plenty
Well,
of unique
just look at
visual
the bottom
combinations of
left.
certain carts clashing together. But all of this falls apart like soggy bread once you realise that you only need to clash with one car, and then you've automatically won every single race.
How?
Engine.
Engine?
You see, Engine's weapon he has are these rockets, and they are so overpowered, I'm pretty sure they could be used in tactical warfare. With these rockets, you mow everybody down with no effort. 1 to 2 hits.
I don't think
max
they're gonna
with
be used by
splash
real
damage.
life
And
people
whenever
anytime
you're gunning,
soon.
the CPU in the driver's seat goes around the track as perfectly as possible. So just make sure you fire the rockets, detach from your host like a dying flea right before the end of the third lap, because you get thrown forward every time you do detach, and then you'll find that you win every single time. When you're in this state, you are in complete control. You are a parasite. The helpless sap you attach to can't ever force you off. There's no time limit for this or penalty for overusing it. You can use overpowered race items in conjunction with the rockets. If you get blown up by other races, you recover 2 seconds later, still in the clash formation.
Wait,
and
what?
The best thing, if you run out of rockets, you can always detach and then immediately reattach again to get all of your ammo.
Infinite
You can always
rockets.
switch driving positions and let the computer player shoot down the bogeys, but why would you do that when you can effortlessly get rid of the competition and not have to deal with the painfully unsatisfying driving mechanics? You could always say that this is an optional mechanic, I suppose, except it isn't, because if you don't clash with another car in any race, then you're a very weak target to every other car firing at you, and you explode so much as tumbleweed touches you. Not to mention, again, you're stuck with kart racing mechanics that feel like you're derailing a train, and other racers can attach themselves to you at random with as much consent as a Weinstein. Basically, if you don't clash, you lose, so why wouldn't you choose to clash with the most powerful weaponed racer? And then, once you unlock Engine shortly into the game, it all becomes even easier, since you don't even need to look for him in the race to grab his rocket. You can clash at the very start of the race to guarantee victory with any car without breaking a sweat. Look at these KOs. Look at these KOs. For a 3-lap race lasting around 3 minutes, this means
21?
I'm averaging 7
Wow.
KOs per minute. And so at this point, why does the track design matter? Why do the visuals matter? Why do the shortcuts matter? For even a small fighting chance in tag team racing, you have to use this clash mechanic, which means you'll end up doing the same thing repeatedly to win every time. Even the other modes for each track have similar approaches to them.
Oh, and did you know? This game is a platformer?
Yeah,
Oh.
Tag Team Racing also has a giant hub world that's as much of a single game as the racing itself, despite being called Tag Team Racing! And my god, look at this. Look at this performance. The game didn't run spectacularly in the races, but this looks worse than my granddad's slippers. Couldn't you guys just focus on getting one game style nailed instead of forcing as much in as possible? Did I just die from jumping into a bridge?
Actually,
The
you're
jumping and general running around controls
like
are so slippery and floaty,
nice.
it's practically
That's the beat,
impossible
probably.
to control where
I
you're
think
aiming
about it.
towards. And even the spinning attack is lazy. See this? This isn't a Death Tornado spin power-up from the other games. This isn't a super spin. This is just what happens when you hit square over and over again. The animation resets and you can keep spinning forever, meaning that no enemies will give you any trouble.
Okay.
No shit
They
will
kinda
give you
have
at
them
all, my lumpies
the other
and
Crash
germs. You also
games,
get interrupted
just,
a lot by Chick and Stu.
actually stop
You may
for
recognize
like
from
a
Nitro
second.
Fueled as the chickens who announce all the DLC Grand Prix. I hate them there, and I hate them even more here.
Spending like crazy on new stuff. Bling bling.
Bling bling. Yeah, that's what the kids were saying back then, wasn't it? Bling bling in my ding ding.
To be totally fair to Tag Team, though, despite not being that fun to control, I do admire a few things they do in this open world system. Firstly, they turn the death animations Crash is famous for into an explorative gameplay mechanic. Specific death cutscenes that quite often got a chuckle out of me. Oh look, it's Flat Bandicoot. Secondly, these are some pretty expansive and densely designed hub worlds, especially on the vertical plane, and all the pockets of coins you find are able to purchase more outfits for your characters, more cars, and even a few crystals that you need in order to open the gates that will take you to the next power gem you need to progress to the next world. There's a reason to explore other than finding the next race, and I like that. You can also physically abuse the customers in the park, which is very cathartic because I used to work in retail, and the amount of times I wanted to take the head off of a customer and kick it like a football is uncountable.
You can even kick the children.
No, And we're halfway through, so
You know what though? Now that I think
We're almost
the
done.
race is a bit too skewed because winning a race only rewards you with 2 crystals, whereas you're going to be able to buy and find more hidden crystals in the overworld much faster in order to open up all these gates in the hub worlds to then find the hidden power gems and skip a huge chunk of the game without even doing a single race.
Welcome to Crash Tag Team Racing,
but
Where
we
you don't like racing.
Overall, though, tag team racing is an absolute
Where you
mess,
don't
and
like
it might be
racing.
one of the lowest points of Crash's console career. It tries to appeal to everyone, but ends up impressing controls, worse performance, worse visuals, broken mechanics, and boring.
Now put this trash away.
While the other half
I
is
fetched
full
it
insanity,
earlier.
but with worse controls, worse performance, worse visuals, worse enemies, and barely any really challenging platforming.
Hey, I'm a girl.
Yeah, Crash, what's wrong with you? Women can't fight back!
Yeah,
Oh, can
in
they?
a bottle of Wumpa Whip.
Is it rude to say that I hate you?
Hey, Caddy, look over here. I'm Charlie Window. I'm not in the mood for this. Can you please give me the next game? Oh, okay. I just wanted to let some light into your world. Can you give me the next game? Okay, fine. Don't be such a glass hole. Give me the next... Go get it! Skylanders Imaginators. This isn't a Crash game. Well, this cartoon says otherwise. Cartoon?
You don't even know the half of it, mate.
Oh, no.
Extreme Rescue Mission!
Oh, my God. What is this?
I have no idea, okay.
Free my friend
Okay.
Connor from the clutches of the evil Dr. Neocortex.
Is this show trying to get a rise out of me? Because it's working.
You can make a strong argument in favor of that, sure.
You're getting a rise out of me, Skylanders.
Okay.
Get up, I'm angry. I'm rising, right? I'm rising like a souffle.
I'm sorry, but what holy pants is this? I don't care if this show is any good. Judging by this inclusion of Crash,
Wait,
I really
where's
don't
me
care.
phone?
Pure and simple,
Oh, you're right,
this
in my
is
wheel.
not Crash Bandicoot. This is not the point of his character. He's a mute dumbass meant to tribute other mute dumbasses in old Warner Brothers cartoons. So not only give him a voice, but a brain is completely missing the point. Crash is planning. He doesn't plan. He eats the things he's
I actually
supposed to be
have some of the
collecting.
figures
This is
for
controversial, I know,
the
but
game.
I honestly prefer the horrible Crash 2 promo video version of Crash over this, because at least Crash wasn't a fully established character at that point, and he was still an idiot in that. They could have used anybody here if they needed a character like this. It shouldn't have been Crash. Hashtag not my Banuka.
But don't worry,
Okay.
these fever dream clips from the Skylanders TV show is not what I'm going to be looking at today. Instead, I'll be taking a look at the game that the show was based on.
For those who don't know, Skylanders is a series of simple 3D beat-em-up platforming games in the Spyro mythos, kind of like LEGO Star Wars in terms of style and feeling, except that it requires the use of a USB portal device in order for you to place different figures onto the portal and have them pop up in the game. Different figures have different abilities to get by different obstacles and unlock different secrets. And on its own, I don't think it's too offensive. It's a cute little idea. But in 2016,
Okay, but
when we
also,
were constantly teased a Crash
something
game on
to let you
PS4
know-
after 8
I'll
years
know
of
about.
silence, to then
Let's
have Sony
see.
go on stage
My
and just
first
mention
video
casually, oh yeah, we're working on some remasters, and then
got
go off and
26
show a trailer
views.
for a game which had nothing to do
My
with Crash
video,
directly, but
birthday
instead
stuff,
acted as a
has
cameo
18
with
views,
one
which is
additional
definitely
level to
more
that
than
game.
my
Felt like a little bit of a joke. People were not happy about this announcement
third
back then. Remember, this
video,
was
that
before we
being
had seen anything to
there's
do with the
some things
Insane
that
trilogy, and
want
after
to
all
tell
of the
ya.
games that had spiraled Crash off downhill. This was Crash's official PS4 comeback. So to
So,
see him
yeah.
come back on PS4, but in a children's toy collecting game was a
Birthday
bit of a bait and
stuff
switch.
was not
At
my
least the figure's
parents'
pretty awesome. I love these
second
figures. I also accidentally
most
bought
popular
4.
vid,
I'll get
so
onto the Crash content,
thanks
but let's
all
look
of
at the
you.
game as it is.
And
The
also,
story of
if you're
Skylanders
a
Imaginators is
sub,
that Spyro is having
that's
a
good.
race, and then evil
But if
comes
you're
in
not,
and stops the race. And by the way, the character
and
design of
you want
Spyro
to
is
help me
wet and
reach my
bad,
goal
so
of
I guess it's now
10
time for me to
subs,
pick up my
which
figures and place them onto the portal.
we only need 2 more
Oh my God,
subs,
it's
of
magic!
course.
Look who it
Uh,
is! From
yeah.
the toy! I've got to say, it's very bizarre
Here's the
to see
button.
Spyro and Crash
Although
running
if
around
you
together in a
want
game that isn't-
to see every
Well,
single
it
video
looks weirdly natural.
I make in the
And since we're
future,
in a beat 'em up, I really love how most of the moves Crash is
the
famous
bell is
for are
automatically
translated
turned
into
on.
items that can be purchased with the coins that you
But
collect.
if
From
you
super
don't,
spinning to
just
belly flopping and
turn
even
off,
sliding, it's all
please.
here, just not giving you the same utilities in
because
the platform.
you'll probably be bombarded by notifications.
This is $4.99 all day, every day.
Good luck finding a deal
But
that's juicy.
if you're brave enough, you can.
I kind of like Crash here, honestly.
Turn
I mean,
on.
He's a bit of a chunky monkey, but
Fully.
in this world and art style, he fits in quite nicely. Except whenever you pause the game. Crash, are you having a stroke? Your design...
You better not be.
I'm sorry, your design is disgusting. Your face looks like a pug that was stung by a wasp. So
His
I'm gonna
name
switch
should
over to
be
Cortex and shoot some
Spoyro.
holes in it. Throughout the game, you can
Okay.
activate different shrines to give the figures you have new moves to play with. And to be frank, I thought it would be a case of unlocking one universal move for an entire class of figure to use.
Alright.
But as it turns out, you not only get unique moves for each character of each class, but
Yeah.
even a unique.
Oh yeah, I have the figurine for that
This is a level of
penguin
effort I can
thing.
respect here.
So this is called the Mysterious Ancient Place.
And you have a mysterious ancient
Face.
Oh, and before we carry on, I just wanted to mention how cool this little feature is. This here is a gem figure. And not only does it light up when you place it on the portal,
Oh, neat.
Like the pretty
Wonder how
it
that's
also allows you to
possible
create
with the
and
gem
store
being
your
so
very
little.
own Skylander that has a specific class based on the colored gem that you have.
You can
And this is as extensive
you
as a
guys
bloody
can tell me
Bethesda
if you're
game.
even
Look at
able
it.
to comment in the
Individual
first
body
place.
proportions, accessories, weapons,
But if you want to
skins,
comment
my favorite,
on something,
the voice.
just do it in the community
My hero.
posts.
You like her? She's an
Please.
armor-wearing, ram-horn snake woman with a fire bow. And I call
Because
her
otherwise,
Frost.
there's not a lot of other choices. So,
So after we pass the first story stage, we're then let loose in the main hub world, which is when we then unlock the entire reason I picked up this stupid overpriced Playmobil set. The Thumping Wumpa Islands. It's its own exclusive level within Skylanders Imaginators with exclusive cutscenes and its own mini story to get through, featuring specialized obstacles and items, nice easy puzzles to
Let's
break
see
up
how
the
many
gameplay,
community
and even the
posts you're
classic
doing.
boxes to break for Crash.
I have some news. Your old friend Spyro.
What? You mean the one I threw Molotovs at? There's tons of Easter eggs, subtle nods and references to the older games, really pretty visuals, and a decent sense of humor to boot.
yeah.
The real Crash Bandicoot came on
Okay.
down here to see my
I have 2 community posts that you can see.
So far, right?
So the tabs are home, videos, shorts, playlists, and community.
And I touched the floor yesterday.
Look, say what you want about the quality of the gameplay or the ethics behind Crash being in Skylanders after an 8-year gap of nothing. Regardless if you love or hate Skylanders, how can anybody be okay with the slug-like speed you move? Isn't this supposed to be a fast-paced action game for kids? I run pretty quick in the home world. What's going on over here? And I know this is for kids, but hey, the original trilogy were for kids too,
Yeah.
and they were never this easy. You just run
Come
around
on.
and hit stuff with like 2 or 3 buttons while doing the occasional jump, repeated ad nauseum. It really is baby's first beat 'em up, and that wouldn't be so bad except you move along as fast as cheese on toast. It doesn't matter what
Okay.
extra moves you purchase or whatever.
I
you
didn't
still
know
end up
when
doing
that's
the
low.
simplest button mashing combos and nothing else. And often
But
that's
I,
the best way to
of
get
course,
past any
don't have
combat
cheese on
encounter
toast,
because the
because why would
seemingly
I?
powerful moves that take a long time to
I'd rather
wind up
have,
don't do
grilled
as much
cheese.
damage as a quick 1, 2, 3
Like a little
combo with
Gouda.
your basic punches.
Of course I'm not gonna eat 'em,
Annoyingly,
he's
the slowly
slushy, but
coupled with
still.
the repetitive simplicity is what ends up ruining so many more encounters throughout the game. At this point, you don't have a guard, dash, or roll, just a run, jump, and attack. So tanking hits in big crowds is inevitable. Look, they all move faster than you. And in situations like this, there is nothing you can do other than die and swap out to another figure that you may or may not have on you. The only way to get your old character back being to quit the level or restart it. So I hope you have enough figures, kids, or else you'll need to steal mummy's credit card. This then becomes a huge problem when you're told,
Only Crash Bandicoot can unlock this
but
phone.
the problem is, he got Steam pressed earlier, which means I
Yep.
would need to start my entire 30 minutes of playtime so far all over again in order to reach that point to open the door as Crash, while going through all of the sticky, running, enemy smacking, property destroying, and puzzle solving all over again. You know what this game reminds me of? Over the Hedge on the Xbox.
Oh, God.
And if you're reminding me of Over the Hedge, you're bugging it up.
But this
Yep.
is what everyone wanted me to talk about, is it?
There's still only 2 more games left.
Okay, fine. I guess it was only a matter of time. These 2 final games I'll be looking at for this video have been requested by my viewers, no joke, for over 8 years now. And to celebrate me finally getting around to talking about them, I invited a celebrity guest to show you what the first one is.
This guy was also from the first video I showed to my mom, ever, from Kitty Cares.
Thanks for that, Billy Willy. Now I'm just going to put my name in, which is Egg.
Oh,
Alright.
here we go, everyone. Crash of the Titans. Okay, so this intro cutscene I actually really like. This shadow puppet art style with no dialogue is a very unique way to set up the story, even if it reminds me a bit too much of Jungle Book 2. And I don't ever want to be reminded of Jungle Book 2.
I've seen the first
Okay, so
one.
should I start addressing the obvious? That being these questionable character designs?
Okay,
I'm
that is
sorry,
definitely not
everyone.
funny
I know this
character.
version of Crash has his fans, but Not me. This is a standing
Not me
orange
either.
hyena with tattoos. I mean,
That is a hyena.
tattoos are for pricks. He's dressed up like a rejected member of Green Day, and his entire aura reeks of the mid-2000s.
I'm not surprised they don't know
There's
Green
no
Day.
timelessness here. I still don't know why they did this, and I don't know what's up with the voices either. Crunch is like if Tony the Tiger was played by Mr. T. But hey, at least Cortex is still pretty funny.
Oh, what?
There is always that.
Hey, genius. I can't actually hear you. I'm really far away, and I'm flying like a hovercraft or something.
And I
Aku Aku is-
Aku here. I can still
Yeah.
tell that it's him.
Yes.
That face he pulls when he's shielding you is a little.
Oh,
And yes,
Aku
I
Aku
said
is
shield.
definitely
There's
bigger
a
than
guard
before.
mechanic
I
in
can
Crash
tell you
of the
that much.
Titans, and even a roll, because this is yet another 3D beat 'em up similar to Skylanders, except much faster, and it came out 9 years prior. So this was actually the first attempt of putting Crash into a combat-focused setting, and I mean. It works, but this is no Bayonetta. There's nothing complicated going on, or different strategies you need to come up with at a second's notice. There's no
Get all
dashing or darting
gems.
around. It's all incredibly
Because my
straightforward.
old
Crash runs around like he's
CD.
late for a meeting, and most bafflingly, he doesn't even start the game with the spin move, which is like Sonic starting a game without being an annoying dick. You have to unlock the
Wait,
spin
what?
first, and get this. If you use it for a little bit, it makes you dizzy. Crash Bandicoot, dizzy. From spinning, which is all he's done since the beginning. This dude isn't Crash, he's a poor man's imitation.
Why, you big...
Fuck
This
you.
is so peculiar to me. I never thought
think I
I'd
know
live
what you're
to see
about
the
to do
day that
next.
the words Combo King appeared on screen in a Crash game. And Crash, wait, what's this? What are you doing? Stop it! Oh, okay, I got an achievement. What was it for? The right stuff?
Right
What right stuff? What, you mean this? This was the right stuff? I'd say this was the wrong stuff. But of course,
Me
I
as
am
well.
blissfully ignoring the
That is
other
not
major
something
aspect of
Crash
this game,
would
which
do.
is presented to you on the front of the box. And I'm mostly avoiding it because of what it's called. It sounds like you're putting someone off. Basically, there are a
Mom
handful
did
of bigger creatures
say,
that you can fight.
while
that
showing
after
this
you
here,
start
that
hitting them, makes a star counter
I
appear above
that
their
just
head.
thinks
Keep waiting
they
on them to
meant
fill it up, wait for them
hijacking.
to get stunned, then tap a button and... Yes, for some confusing reason, in Crash of the Titans, Crash
Oh, you can see in the background.
tag certain beasts to do his dirty work for him.
Yeah,
Which usually means
Mom
just doing the
said
same
right
thing that
here.
you would already be doing, but just
It's
doing it
supposed to be
hard. How does Crash get
hijacking,
this
but they
ability?
forgot
When
the
does
hi.
he learn it? Why does he need to do it?
And
It's not
now-
explained. Stop crying. I'd love
And
to
now
say more
it
about this game,
sounds
but
like
to
it's
tell you
pulling
the
someone
truth,
off.
I
Like,
really,
that's how it
really
sounds like the
can't.
Teddy Carols over here,
This
apparently.
is the game. Whether by your lonesome or riding on the back of a demented pig, you are pressing the same buttons, fighting the same waves of enemies, and getting by the most rudimentary of platforming sequences with barely anything resembling thought
And
being
that
needed
checks
to
out.
carry on. Gotta be honest, I don't like tag team racing, but at least the world was more interesting to explore. This is just unpalatable. There's nothing technically wrong with it, but it's easily the most boring game of the bunch with nothing standing out, nothing special about it, and nobody making a joke about Crash possessing monsters being called jacking. And it doesn't matter how good your game is at that
Alright.
point, if it's boring, you've lost me. I mean, at least Skylanders,
That's he was
for
over
as
there, you
slow as
can't
that
really
game
see
is,
him, of
allowed
course,
you to
but
collect
yeah,
coins and
he's there.
spend them on upgrades that you wanted to choose. Here, you don't get a choice. You just keep collecting these blue balls and then you'll eventually unlock some kind of new move, and that's it. There's no strategy or thought to any of this, or any concrete reasons to explore. I'm being serious when I say this. This is the Crash version of Sonic Boom. Yes, a fundamentally boring and unengaging beat-em-up with no thought required, basic platforming, new character designs, new unexplained abilities, and a new universe for the characters to explore that's given no build-up, backstory, or context. Only difference is, in Crash of the Titans, you don't disappear. And do you want to see where I
Alright.
couldn't take it anymore? Right damn here. This is apparently Uka Uka. Yes, this Uka Uka.
Oh,
Why
God.
don't you completely toss aside your old fans that you're still trying to attract back into the series after the platforming apparently got too stale? I mean, I think that it's a cool as hell mask design on its
Yeah.
own, but that is not Uka Uka.
I will take
That was
the
definitely
Mojo and
Uka
Bandicoot
Uka.
female back to our base.
That's my nan and Cortex.
Alright.
My goodness. You know, I've heard people complain about Cortex's look in Crash Bandicoot 4, and here
No,
I am
that was his
saying,
best
"Huh?
design."
You serious?
Yeah.
You can always end up looking like this. Cortex
Yeah.
here looks like a cross between a toddler and an old man. Or a balding Pinocchio.
Aha!
Why does he have anything to do with
Welcome back to
Pinocchio?
my show. It's me,
Sandwich.
And today, we're going to be cooking up all of the shit that you never wanted to eat, sticking it in the microwave, and reheating it for you.
Oh, mind over mutant. Come on then, let's get this over with. My name is... Limes. The first mission of this game is a tutorial gauntlet where Crash's sister Coco sends us off to look for a load of Coco parts, and I really don't think her brother should be doing that. After that, I hate to report, It's exactly the damn same game as Titans, no exaggeration. It's the same game, except Crash overdid the steroids in his shins. And now he has short shorts. Is that a lump? Oh wait, no, I'm telling a lie. There is something else a little bit different here. There's, a kid's art pack? What's all of this then? Oh wow, are these fan arts from children that they hid in the menus of this game just to be cute? Oh dear. Crash is in a mankini. You know what? I'm gonna call it. I don't think this is kids fan art. I'm willing to bet that this was official concept art, because holy crap, this is the worst design of Crash I think I've ever seen. He looks like a gangly 30-year-old man dressed up as Crash Bandicoot, not actually him. The limb proportions are all wrong. He looks way too humanoid. He's too tall. And again, people complained about Crash 4 or the Insane trilogy even. Just look at this climbing animation. Look at it. Is this Crash Bandicoot or The Exorcist? To be fair to Mind Over Mutant though, even though it is the same game as Titans and the character designs have been left in the toilet, I've got to say, this is basically just a better version of Titans when it comes to the gameplay. From the start, you've got way more fighting moves to work with, including a last-minute dodging and counter-attack move to really let you get into the combat mechanics and let you think about what buttons you have to press. And you get more moves.
This is the final game. What the answer?
Yourself being 10
Wait,
times
we gotta
more
get the
interesting and
answer.
involved than in Crash of the
What?
Titans. Feeling a lot like
Alright.
Twin Sanity in places, actually. Not to mention, hijacking the Titans for fighting has more uses, since they don't only have their own unique special moves that can not only benefit you in combat, but also aid you in exploration and getting to secret areas. Even
Oh.
better, you can jump on and off any Titan you want to at any time and store them on your equipping slot, and you just need to press the equip button again to get straight back on them, making the flips between combat and Crash exclusive climbing and platforming feel way more natural and of the moment.
Oh,
The
it's
Titans
all
feel
I'm
like an
gonna play
extension to
because I don't
Crash instead of
have-
just something
I
that
don't
you
know
do
if I
every
have
so
the
often. You're not just going
Xbox.
through the motions and hitting a single attack
Because
button
I only
over
have
and over
one
again.
type,
This is
but-
not half
Oh.
bad. I'd happily play this over Titans anyway. But at the end of the day, it is still a simplistic kids beat 'em up game. No escaping it. And it's really damn easy.
Another person balancing on the other end would make it much easier.
Oh,
Does it?
was I not supposed to be able to do that? And to be perfectly honest, for as monotonous and mindless as this game does inevitably become, I won't lie, I thought it was a little bit worth it to watch all of the cutscenes linking each level segment together. These are the best cutscenes in any Crash game, no kidding. And for each level, they're done in a different cartoon
Wait, what?
style. There's flash
Of
animation,
course they taste
hand
gross.
puppets, old and timey, and the scripting, voice acting, and characterization is perfect. I'd even argue it's better than what Twin Sanity had to offer in terms of humor. Just check out some of the gags that they somehow got away with here and tell me that you didn't crack a smile.
Yes, it is I, Embryo.
My name sounds like fetus.
Call now and you'll also receive neckbeard in a can.
Can't talk? Watch the monkeys. Look at the monkey. Oh, right in his own mouth.
Stare and dream. Stare and dream. Soon to be available everywhere in Arkansas. Punch him in the throat.
And my throat! I need that for swallowing!
These are all so fast-paced, funny, expressive, and creative that I'm pretty convinced that Mind Over Mutant was originally supposed to be an
Okay,
animated
very
series or
detailed.
something, but got rejected at the pretense of it being for a character from a video game, and so they were told by executives that they would prefer a video game, so then they just copied and pasted the ideas and mechanics from Crash of the Titans into here so that they could show you all the animated sequences they made.
I don't know. I smell a conspiracy here. Oh, hang on. That's just fish. I'm in the market. So I wasn't expecting this in the slightest, but this mini marathon of the post-Naughty Dog Crash Bandicoot games ended on a weirdly positive note.
Yeah.
Mind Over Mutant is not that bad. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
great. I wouldn't go out of my way to willingly
From what I
play
can
it again.
tell
It's a lot
from
better than the
what
other
I
titles
said.
in today. But overall, when you see the Crash Bandicoot 4 announcement trailer and hear this little exchange at the end of it,
How many times have you beaten this clown anyway?
3.
Really? Only 3? Fine. Seemed like more.
I can totally understand now why they decided to split the timeline after Crash 3 and pretend like the other games didn't happen.
However
Yeah.
good or bad you think these games were as the next main Crash installments, nobody can deny that they
I've
were
already
all
played
over
the
bloody
Insane
place in terms
trilogy,
of focus and
specifically the
direction,
Crash 1
which eventually
there.
led to the original trilogy getting
And the
Insane
others, I
remake in the
think,
first
just
place. People just
not
wanted to
really
go back to
in
the good,
stages
solid
of the
stuff
other
that
ones.
everyone knew,
And
everyone
Crash
loved,
4.
was
Those are the
brilliant
only
type
Crash
design
games I've
and what
played.
made Crash great and lovable to begin
I
with.
think they're the
None of
only
this sad
Crash games
crunch.
I'm gonna play
Oh,
anyway.
what the hell are you looking at right there? Yes, that is a nice chest. The racing games were kept on life support for far too long. Titans was a Mutant was a mediocre attempt to keep that new gameplay style going, and Skylanders wasn't even a Crash game. The only one I can see some potential in is with Crash Bash, considering how long-lasting Mario Kart has been and how well received Super Mario Party was on the Switch. I I'd love to see them tackle this kind of game again, especially with the huge roster of characters in CTR Nitro Fueled, including cameos from Spyro. I think we could get a really damn good-looking and incredibly fun party game with lots of characters duking it out.
With that, though, comes the conclusion of yet another Bandicoot month. So, thank you so much for joining me this year, and my new wife, of course. And even though nowadays Naughty Dog is spending far too much time being naughty dogs, I'd like to end this video with a thank you. Because without you, Naughty Dog, I wouldn't be here right now. But do you have a copy of Smash Brandy's Cooch?
Subscribe and
Hit the bell.
on.
Yeah, I love that sometimes as well. Alright, everyone. Thanks for watching this vid of Crash Week. Bye.